So, 3 classes of recalls. Tell me about a class 3. Okay, least dangerous. Will my patient even be aware of this?
What if the pharmacist decides?
All right, maybe, maybe not. So this could be something like my Zyrtec, which is supposed to be banana grape flavor, is more grape flavor. Will that affect the patient? No. Probably not going to call anybody and say, have you noticed? Okay. We'll send ours back, and that's usually the end of it. Okay. Tell me about a class 2 recall.
Cause adverse health events, but they're reversible or temporary.
Will I contact my patient in this case?
Yes.
Okay. So it will affect the patient, but if you stop the medicine or if we give you something else, we can undo the effects. You're going to see it on the news. You're going to hear about it. Class 1 recall.
Dead.
All right, dead. This is the worst one.
Probably not going to be notified because you're already dead.
So with this one, the effects are irreversible. Death is pretty irreversible. Not every class 1 recall will cause death, but it can cause permanent issues for that patient. You're going to hear, this is going to be on all the major news media. You're probably going to see it in the newspaper. We're going to be sending you letters trying to contact you. This could be glass shards in your medication. There was one of those not too long ago. There was one where there was a labeling issue where the wrong label went on the wrong drug. That's a major problem. So things like that don't happen as often as the class 3. Class 3s you can expect about every week you're going to get paperwork for something that's been recalled. Doesn't mean you've got it, but they'll send something. 1s and 2s, not as often, because those are a major deal. If, right before return of declined medications, if my patient has a product that is in this recall, are they stuck with it? What can they do?
Return a recall drug for a refund or credit per pharmacy or drug wholesaler policy.
Okay, bring it back in, and the wholesaler or the manufacturer will have told us what to do. So it could be that we take it back, we give you your money back. This is the only scenario where you can bring a drug back into the pharmacy, besides a unit dose pack, but it doesn't go back on the shelf. So we do take those back, but not on the shelf.
Do you put them with the things that you pulled, or you throw them away?
Yeah, we'd need to follow directions. Sometimes it'll say just discard them. Sometimes it'll say to keep up with it. It just depends. Return of declined medications. First one says, at times patients don't pick their medication up within 7 days, and even after we've called them or we've messaged them, then we would go back and we would reverse that product out. So we would undo the prescription, we would put the drug back on the shelf because it never left us. If the patient comes in and picks up a medication and they don't want it, once it's left us, can we take it back? No. Good. All right. Sometimes drugs go out of date. How do we handle it if it's expired? Sitting on the shelf, out of date.
It can be returned to the wholesaler, but no credit will be issued.
Okay, so we need to get it off the shelf, and then we can send it back. Sometimes you can get credit. We have companies like One Box Return, which have a list of different manufacturers they'll accept. You put it all in the box, you send it off, they send you money back. Usually they send you a bill to tell you how much it's going to cost you for them to destroy it. Doesn't usually work out well. So better yet, don't keep it around. If it's going to go out of date, you've not opened it, send it back and get a credit beforehand. All right, controlled substances. If my product is a controlled substance, how will I know it? By looking at it.
C.
All right, so I have a C. What else?
A Roman numeral.
Uppercase or lowercase Roman numeral?
Upper.
Upper.
Uppercase.
Forget that I even said that.
It's okay. Does the C have to be on there?
No.
Huh? Okay. So the C doesn't have to be on there, but the uppercase Roman numerals do. I've never seen one personally that didn't have a C on it. So it's just me. Okay. Schedule 3, 4, and 5. Do I have to have a special form to order them?
No.
Okay. Will they be in the next day's order?
I hope.
Oh.
Maybe.
Okay. They will come in the next day, but yes, they will be separated out. I have to take that invoice, I have to make a copy of it, and it has to be filed separately. It has to be put into inventory. Okay. C2s. Will these be in the next day inventory or next day's order? How long does it take for those to come in? Two or 3 days. So those do take a little bit longer. Do I have to have a special form to order them? What form? All right, good. 222 form. And these will have their own invoice. Again, it has to be signed by the pharmacist, has to be filed separately. Even the prescriptions for C2s have to be filed separately. They can't go in with everything else. Looking at the bottom of 404, I have my DEA Form 222. How many items can I order?
Looks like 10.
10. And it comes in triplicate. We keep one form. The other 2 go to the wholesaler. Wholesaler will keep one, and the other one will go to the DEA. We can't make mistakes on this. Make a mistake, you know how normally we just draw a line through it or squiggle it out? You have to void it. You have to redo the whole thing. And only the pharmacist who has been put on the approved list with the Board of Pharmacy and the DEA can sign this. So we could fill it out if the pharmacist asked us to, but we could not sign it to finish the order up. All right. Once this form is sent off and our product comes in, then we're going to fill in the NDC number, and it's going to tell how many of that package that we received. We verify it. If something happens and they didn't send us that, then they send us a separate form to say that you only got X many even though you ordered this. Here's why. We're responsible for keeping up with all that paperwork. So it's a lot of extra. Right. If we need to dispose of any of these C2s, we have a separate form for that. We've talked about that in the past. What form is that?
106.
DEA 106 is in the little sidebar. And our inventory is going to be put into our perpetual inventory. What's perpetual inventory?
Tablet by tablet.
Tablet by tablet count. So I should be able to tell you exactly how many of that product I have on the shelf. I told you that we're typically going to do an inventory every year, but how often do we have to do a controlled inventory to send into the DEA? Every 2 years. Perfect. And then if you're looking there on 406, right above the next section, estimating, we do have a monitoring system in place that tracks how much of these C2s that we're ordering, how much we're dispensing, and if our numbers start looking strange, if this is a too big of a percentage of our inventory or too big of a percentage of our sales, then they will come in and they will check us. So they are very, very particular about this. inventory turnover. What is that?
The survey to determine inventory value and turnover rate.
Okay.
Is that that?
Okay. When we bring something in, how long does it stay? So from the time I order it to the time that we've sold all of it and need to replace it, that's our turnover. What kind of turnover rate do we want our products to have?
6.
10 to 12.
Okay. If we have a turnover rate of 12, what does that mean?
The inventory turns over every month.
Okay, so if I buy it today, this time next month, I would be replacing it because we would have used all of it and it would be gone. A turnover of 12 is good. Less than that would be even better because that means we're moving that product very quickly. It's very unlikely for it to go out of date. All right, 407, pharmacy informatics. What on earth are we talking about informatics?
The use of computer systems and software.
All right, software and the computers that our pharmacy is going to use. And with this, these computers allow us to do productivity reports. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It can allow us to run safety reports to see if we've had errors. And in the end, we should be doing something to protect that data. So besides watching out for hacking and things like that, what else can we do to protect our data? Back it up. What are some ways that we can back our inventory or back our information up?
Remote storage.
Okay.
CDs.
All right, remote storage where we pay a company that we transmit it every night. CDs where we back it up on a CD and then we lock it up in a safe or we lock it up off-site every night. You can do zip drives. You can do an external hard drive. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it, but we do need to do that. You don't want your system to crash. I've been there when the system crashed at Christmas. It was a bad Christmas because we had been using it and we come in the next morning and it literally had died. It would not boot, nothing, which meant we were dead in the water. Thankfully, the owner had been looking at other systems, so he knew what he wanted. He called, he told them we need it now. By the next day, they had somebody there ready to train us. They had our software installed and they had retrieved most of our records from the old computer. Everything besides the last year, which meant that we had this computer system up for a year. We could not shut it down because if we shut it down, we'd never get it back up again. We would have to go over every time a patient come in. If it was a new prescription that wasn't already in the system, we'd have to go over, write it off, and then create a new one for this new system. Like I said, you don't want it to get to that point. You want to make sure that we've backed everything up. We need to make sure that we keep our software updated. And by doing that, even doing upgrades as things come available. We need to have a plan. What if your power goes out? What are you going to do? Sit in the dark? Did you have that happen? You sat in the dark? Yeah. You're just, like I said, dead in the water until things come back up. So if it's going to be down for very long, or if it's a bigger facility, they might have, a backup generator to get it going. But otherwise, we're just kind of going to have to wait until things are back up and ready for us again. And then emergency data retrieval, again, just comes down to we may possibly have a company that we pay to go in and to try to recover what's on that damaged computer.